Hi, I'm Andrew from Quick Crop, and today I'm going to show you how to make a propagation heat bench. If you're starting seedlings off early in the year, it's going to be a bit cold for the seeds to germinate, as most seeds would need a temperature of between 18 and 21 degrees Celsius. Now, your plants don't really care what the air temperature is like. It's all about the temperature of the soil or compost, so we need to create what we call bottom heat, and that's heat that comes up underneath the seedling tray or plant pot. So what is a heat bench? Well, essentially it's a timber base filled with sand. It's important that that sand is kept moist, so we use a plastic liner to keep the moisture in, and in that sand we embed our heat cable, and the heat from the cable rises up through the sand through the base of your pots or your seedling trays. We build quite large benches at Quick Crop because we grow a lot of seedlings, but if you're building a smaller one, the principle is pretty much the same. Today we're going to use crates as a base. Now do remember that the finished bench is going to be full of damp sand, which is pretty heavy, so if you want to put it on a greenhouse staging, make sure it's adequately supported. Your heat bench is going to need a base. Now today I'm doing a little bit of recycling, and what I have here is a sheet of 8x4 timber, and I have 2 sheets of old foam back plasterboard. Now you can just buy the foam on its own, which is what you should do, and if you're doing that, get the 50mm thick one, as it has better insulation. Now the insulation is important as it keeps the heat into the base of the unit. Right, so what do we got? Well, here's our baseboard. Now I've cut the corner of the insulation here, and that's to make way for our corner post, which is going to slot in there. And then this is the side of our bed, and I'm going to screw these here to fix it. Essentially what we're doing is building one of our timber raised beds on a base. Now today I'm using scraps, but many people buy our timber raised bed kits to build benches, with the most popular being our classic metre square 7-inch high bed. Now, why do we need 7 inches? Well, as I said, we have the insulation at the base of the heat bench, but then we also have 4 inches of sand with 2 inches, then the cable, and then another 2 inches of sand to finish off. Screw the sides securely to the base because the weight of sand inside will try and push them out. And then the next job is to line with plastic. Now I'm using a heavy duty DPC plastic, which you'll get in any builder's suppliers. And the idea really is to use it a bit like a pond liner, so that when we soak the sand in the bed, it stays moist for as long as possible because no water escapes. Leave a bit of overlap at the edges and smooth the sheet into the base, trying to avoid any creases. The next thing we need to do is fill the bench with 2 inches of sand. Now here's just a handy way of doing it. I'm just using a piece of scrap timber here, and I'm just going to mark a 2-inch line across the timber, and then I can use this to gauge the depth of my sand as I'm filling it. I'm filling with sand here. Now I'm just using a builder's sand here. Again, you can get that from any builder's suppliers. Right, that's the first layer filled. Now we'll get our trusty measuring board just to check. Now look at that, absolutely perfect. We're going to put the cable in now, and today we're using a Parasene soil warming cable, which is a 24 metre or 80 foot, which is about perfect for this 8x4 bed. We can see the cable here. On one end we have a plug, and then on the other end it finishes with a little blue end piece. If you're using a thermostat, you need to take off the plug and wire this into the thermostat. Please do not cut the blue end off. You know who you are. We need to drill 2 holes in the side of the timber now. One for the probe for the thermostat, which tells the temperature, and then the other one for the heat cable so that we can push it through into the bed. Next we need to thread the blue end through our pre-drilled hole in the bed, through the plastic, and then thread the full length of the cable through into the bench. The next job is adding the cable into the top of the bench. Now the recommended distance apart is 8 centimeters, so I've just cut a bit of card so I can easily measure it. I'm sure you know what an electric blanket looks like with the cable running up and down, and we're doing exactly the same thing here with our cable. Bringing it right down to the end, just push it into the sand to hold it. Check your distance every now and then, and just keep running the cable up and down like that until you finish the bed. Okay, the cable is all in now, and I've covered the bench with another 2 inches of sand, and we're going to go ahead now and put in the thermostat. So we can see that we have the heat cable here coming out of the timber. We have a black flex with a plug which we need to remove to connect to the thermostat. The heat cable is attached through the base of the thermostat here, so we just need to take the face of the unit off just to be able to get at the connectors and see what we're doing. So I'm just going to unscrew the panel here. Inside the unit here we have a little socket board here, and printed on the plastic is earth, neutral and live, E, N and L. So we just connect the corresponding wires. The wires fit through the bottom here, as we said, so make sure to slot them through here before you connect them up to the board. So I'm just going to push them in. They should go in pretty neatly. There we go. Okay, so I've got them wired up here. You can see here we've got earth, neutral and live. So earth is green and yellow if you're in Europe, and neutral is blue, and then live is always brown. So that's it done. And we're just going to slot the box back together. Before you fix the cover back on, if you want to screw your thermostat onto the heat bench, the screw holes are actually inside the unit, so you need to slot it on first. So I'm slotting the probe in through the pre-drilled hole, through the plastic at the back, and that's going into the sand. And then I'm just going to screw through into the wood through the back of the unit here. That's it, and now we can secure the cover back on. We're ready to plug it in now, so I'm going to plug in the thermostat and the red light should come on. There we go, we're all working. Our dial on the front of the unit now controls the temperature, and I want to grow some tomatoes here, so I'm going to set it at 25 degrees, and that means that the cable comes on, but when the temperature gets up to 25 degrees it'll turn itself off again. When it cools down it'll come back on. Okay, that's it, thermostat fixed. That's going to my power source, and then this is going into my cable into the mat. I put the plastic down. I said I do this so that that's protected now. It's not going to get water on it. Right, that's it, finished. The last thing to do is we need to give it a water. So you need to really soak the sand. I'm going to do this for about a minute. And once that's done, the last thing to do is just add your seedling tray. And that's it, your homemade heat propagating bench. All the Parasene products featured in the video, including soil warming cables of various lengths and the thermostats, are all available on our websites quickcrop.ie and quickcrop.co.uk.